everybody, it's Kimmy, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 things I like about books and some things that I don't like about books. And in this video, it's going to be an actual 5 things I like, because I wrote it down. Yay. The first thing is the imagination that it brings to the reader. The way the author words the books and the way they weave the stories is a very interesting process, and no two readers are going to have the same imagination. They're going to picture one scene in 2 completely different ways, and to me that's like the best thing, because it's going to be unique for each reader, and I love that. I've been reading since, well, forever, but that's one of the things I like about it. The other thing is the fact that the authors create other worlds with their words and how they do it. It baffles me how they can create these different worlds and these different words that I have no idea how to pronounce sometimes, and these different kinds of beings and people and states and countries and water and maybe not the water, but everything else I said. It's an add-on to the imagination that they have, because they have some incredible imaginations compared to some of the books that I've read, some that I don't even remember, but I remember that they created different worlds, and it's incredible. It's something to, if you like want to be a writer, it's something to strive for, to be able to do that with your own words, and how to do it in a different way that creates your exact plan, I guess, or your exact imagination. Another thing that I like about books is some of the books that get made into movies. Not all the movies that come from books actually do a good job, unfortunately, but there are some that I liked personally. Like, if I hadn't read the book in the first place, I would like the movie, but I tend to like any movie anyways, no matter if it came from a book to a movie, or just a movie, like no storyline containing a book. I love it anyways. So I'm a movie fanatic, as you can tell. I've shown you my collections, but I just love how they can take the pictures that the author wants and make it into what actors are acting, and how nowadays the computers can make up the scenes that the authors want, and they're very specific and detail oriented, and it's cool. It's awesome the way they do that. It sucks though that they don't always get the scenes right. They like take stuff out from the books and stuff. So, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Another thing I like about number 4 about books is the authors. Two of my favorite authors, and these people I've been reading forever, and one of them is Nora Roberts, who also has a second name as J.D. Robb. Her series In Death is without a doubt one of my favorite storylines. And I'm not going to tell you the storyline because you're going to have to go see it yourself, but her In Death series is awesome. I also like how she has different little stories as Nora Roberts with hundreds of different other characters that are too many to get into one small video. And my other favorite author is Jude Deveraux. And her books mainly tie around 2 families, the Montgomerys and the Taggarts. And she has these families starting from way back in ancient times to modern times. And I love how each of the stories are centered around either one person in a family in each of the families, or a couple people in one book with each of the families, and I guess how they intertwine, because these families are supposed to be related throughout the history, and how they started from, how she starts it from ancient times, like 80s, I'm pretty sure, no, like early 80s, or yeah, early 80s, up to like higher and higher into the timeline until they get to the 20s, they get to the 50s, they get to the 70s, they get to the 90s, and she's still continuing. She still has books coming out, so she's moving along with the generation and stuff like that. I like how she does that. Those I've been reading those books for years, and I've even reread a lot of her books, and I've been trying to collect them. I got a fair few of her books, along with I got a fair few of Nora Roberts' books too, because I like to spend money on things I don't need. But who doesn't? Another thing I like about books is the creativity involved in making the books. You got to think about the plot, what you want the plot to be, how you want the characters to be, how you want them to look, and you got to think of the details that make that one character so special and unique from the other characters that you're going to invent. And that leads me to my book. I have not finished any of them, but I have like 2 or 3. And one of my favorite parts was making the characters. I'm not very creative in making like the backgrounds and stuff like that. I use what I know. I use like where I've been and stuff like that. But the characters are my characters to make. And that's my favorite part, because one of my main characters in one of my books, she's kind of spunky and she's sassy. But you don't find this out until like halfway through the book, because she doesn't get the opportunity to show herself. And I'm going to talk about my book in a more length later on in one of my vlogs probably. So that's 5 things I like about books. Some of the things I don't like about books is when the story runs on. Like the book is like 400 pages, and it doesn't add to the story as much as you'd want it to be. I mean, the details in the story are probably really good and stuff like that, and you probably need it to actually get the whole concept of the story. But to me, when stories are that long, I kind of lose focus on the enjoyment of reading the book, I guess. And this is only for a few select books that I can remember. And keep in mind, I've read, if not thousands, then hundreds of different books throughout when I first started reading them, which was in the 6th grade. Like, really reading them was in the 6th grade up until now. Another thing I don't like about books is how some series can have too many add-ons, and it just makes the story boring, I guess you can say, because for some stories, there's only so far you can go for it to have a purpose, I guess, before it starts repeating a lot of what they're saying in the first place, of what they're trying to say in the first place, or what the characters are trying to provide in the first place. So, yeah. Another thing I don't like about them is some of the authors add way too many details, in my opinion. And these are all just based on my opinion, so this is why I'm not naming any authors or any stories in specific that I'm talking about. But some authors add too many details into a story, and that definitely makes me lose focus, because I lose focus on the main point of the story. Like, to keep up with the story, you gotta think about them, and I guess it's understandable that they do that, but I tend to skip over those parts when I can see it's just going into detail about a certain part of the book. So I guess I just need to find some books that I find more interesting that I don't skip over. But nowadays it's actually hard for me to get really into a book, to like sink into the story. I've actually got a few that I've gotten into, and I've mentioned her before, but she's a really good author, and I've been rereading some of her books some of her books, and those stories don't go into too much detail, even though it's about crime and the investigation process and stuff like that. each book is a little bit different than the last because each storyline is different. The characters, yes, they're the same, but each character is growing with the story, and you can tell that from the main story or the first story in the series to whatever number this is in the series. I'm not sure. There's 45 in this series, keep in mind, okay? So, whatever number this one is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. This is number 20. So, that's number 20 in 44, or 45, because she has another one coming out in September. So, that's, okay, so those are some of the things I don't like about books. And that's it. That's all I could think of at the moment. Keep in mind it's 1 o'clock. That I don't like about books. There's not much because I love books. I love the stories, the plots, how they get you to think, how they get you to laugh, how they play with your emotions. I love it when they play with your emotions because then I'm really into a book. And I love how each story is going to be different no matter how many times you read it, no matter how many times you reread it. It's not going to be the same experience each time you read it because you're going to be thinking a little bit different with how the story is and how it goes. I mean, you know the story if you've read it more than once, so I guess it tricks your mind into thinking that it can go this way instead of going the way you had it in the first place. If that makes any sense. So I'm going to end this video here. Thank you for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe. Mention anything you guys want me to say, anything you guys want me to do, any more 5 things you guys want me to mention. And I will get back to you on that. Please really hit the like button because it wants to be hit. I said that in my last video because it's true. So that is all, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.